Good morning. Today, our council president and our president pro tem are both absent, so we will need a motion from the council members for someone to serve as chairman of the session today.
I make a motion.
Do we have a second?
A second.
We had some competition there. Yeah. Those in favor of Councilman Cannon serving as chairperson for today's meeting, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Councilman Cannon will chair today's meeting. Call it to order.
I'm going to ask for the roll call today, please.
All righty. As I stated, Councilwoman Toles is absent today. Councilman Williams is also absent today. Councilman Worthy?
Here.
Back?
Here.
Wilson?
Here.
And Cannon?
Here.
Councilman Reed is also absent today, so we barely have our quorum, but we do have a quorum present, and our meeting is open for business. I'm going to ask Councilman Back to lead the invocation. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Most gracious and heavenly Father, we come to you today on bended knee, God, just with thankful hearts. Father, we just ask that you'll be with this council today, those that aren't with us, those that can't be here. Be with our administration and all of our employees, Father, and just keep everyone safe. Father, we just ask that the deliberations that we do today will be pleasing unto you. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I appreciate the council members having faith in me today. Maybe we'll get through with this. I hate that Councilman Reed's sick and Ms. Toles couldn't be here today. If we'll just pray for them, please, that they get better. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the work session and city council meeting held on July the 5th.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to approve minutes.
The chair will entertain a motion to ratify payments of the accounts for the week of July the 1st through the 7th.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, will you please take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to ratify payment of the accounts.
Mayor, do we have any proclamations today? No proclamations. We're at unfinished business. We have no unfinished business today. We'll go to number 9. This is time and place as advertised to conduct a public hearing, allowing anyone to speak in opposition to or in favor of a resolution ordering abatement of nuisance on property located at 1148 Litchfield Avenue in District 1, L.A. and LMA Warren, Life Estates in care of Horace Warren, being the last known owners. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Ma'am, if you'll come to the mic, please, and state your name and your address, please. You might have to turn that mic on for us, Brian. I don't know if it's on or not.
Good morning. My name is Valerie Borden. I live at 311 Richardson Street, and I'm not either one of these people on this list, but I have talked to Mr. Harbison about that property at 1148 Litchfield Avenue, and I haven't been in contact with the one that's only survivor is Horace Warren, and we are in the process of making a deal of me purchasing that property, so I'm asking for you guys to extend that abatement on that property.
Okay, thank you. We'll hear from Mr. Harbison now, please. In favor of?
Mr. President, I'm Brian Harbison with the Building Department. We rehabbed this house 14 years ago. Our plan is to rehab it again. I'm here today to say that we filed the case August a year ago. Nothing's been done. No improvements. The owner, which paid our previous investment, so we've collected our money, lives in Detroit. Obviously absentee, can't take care of what needs to be done. I'm asking for a resolution today to abate the nuisance. Thank you.
Mr. Harbison, can I ask you a question? Can you explain a little more about that rehab process and how, once the city has completed the rehab of a property, how do we go about marketing that property or divesting of it once it's been rehabbed?
All right, once we invest dollars to bring the house back online, then we've got a couple of options. We can file foreclosure on that lien, which we did in this case, and then collected later from an individual who chose to pay. Or we can just assess the costs and add it to the taxes. Then whoever desires to pay taxes moving forward will pay the full amount. The state will reimburse us our costs. So we've got a good chance of recovering that. There's some work that needs to be done immediately around the outside of the house is what I'm going to do today. And we did discuss that on the property, me and the prospective new buyer just a few days ago. But I need a resolution to get Public Works to go out there and clean some hedges back so that we can do a full assessment. And hopefully by that time she'll have a deed to it.
And so in that situation, if she moves forward with acquiring the deed for the property while we're doing the repair work, at that point, in order for her to have a clean and clear title to it, she would just need to pay the amount that the city incurred.
Any cost cleaning up to the point where she obtains a deed, she will be responsible for that, yes.
Gotcha.
So this is not for the house, knocking the house down. This is for the debris with the trees and
Yeah, our
stuff.
plan is to try to save the house.
Okay.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the council?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? Any more further discussion? Is everybody good on it?
No, this is just, make sure we know it's just for the bushes and all of that. It's not for the house.
Ma'am, you understand that, don't you? I do. Okay, I was going to make sure you was with us on this. Okay, clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisance on property located at 603 South 4th Street in District 4, Bill Hill LLC in care of Carl Weaver, and Billy Hill LLC in care of Carl Weaver being the last known owners. Is anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Anybody opposed to this resolution? Does anyone here wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, this case involves a burned structure. We filed it in April of this year. There have been no permits or improvements made, and we're asking for a resolution to abate the nuisance. Thank you.
Brian,
Okay.
is this that Victorian home?
It is.
Man, that was terrible. That was a beautiful house.
What's the pleasure of the council on this, please?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Are there any discussion? Brian, I'd just like to know, I've seen a bunch of these houses that's burned and condemned. Are y'all putting X's on them now? Fire department's doing that? Okay. So everyone that's burnt is gonna have that X on it, correct?
No, the X is if we're not gonna enter the structure. That's a fire department code to let us know that that is a defensive fire to protect our firefighters.
Okay. I was just curious. I didn't know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen that in a couple of weeks. I've seen some on there.
That's just an indication that the structure's not safe.
That is exactly what that is an indication of. We will still do a search to make sure there's no one that should be in the structure. But that's to indicate to our firefighters that that building is already not safe prior to it catching on fire again, in case someone comes to set it on fire, like an arson or something.
Right.
Because it does that.
So y'all would, in that scenario, you would just fight the fire from the exterior of the structure?
Initially.
Yeah.
It won't keep us from going in the structure at some point, but it keeps our firefighters out of it initially.
Right.
I have a question before we move on. Mr. On a case like this, when you check in the deeds and all that, do we check to see if they had insurance on the building?
We don't check.
We don't check it at all.
Once the case goes into the system, then the owner will let us know if there's a pending litigation or insurance settlement. At that point, we'll hold out. We've actually communicated with the owner if they desire for us to remove this so that they can make payments.
Okay.
Clerk, will you take the vote, please, on this?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisance on property located at 1023 Chestnut Street in District 5. George T. Granlin, Dina W. Gramley, and Jacob Milliken being the last known owners. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Anyone here wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, we filed this case in August of last year. There have been no improvements, no permits to improve, and we're asking for a resolution to abate the nuisance. Thank you.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Are there any discussion on this? Being no further discussion, clerk, would you please take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our final public hearing is a resolution on the abatement of nuisance on property located at 244 Sherwood Drive in District 7. Phyllis Jean Edminster, subject to a mortgage in favor of Liberty Home Equity Solution. A mortgage assigned to Secretary of U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and James J. and Phyllis Jean Edminger being the last known owners. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm here as a private citizen.
You're going to have to start getting up a little bit quicker. I missed you.
I thought I jumped pretty up.
It's the Johnny
Hi.
Cannon meeting. He fires them off.
Okay, this is sort of complicated. Brian and I have had several discussions. I'm Lisa Osborne. I live at 228 Sherwood Drive. This house is about 3 houses down from me. Several months ago, a tree fell in the front yard of the house, a big tree. And I called Brian. I think other neighbors, correct, Brian had called about the tree? Yeah. So they went out and they condemned the house. And so I called Brian. I'm like, so why did you condemn the house? And it was to get to the tree. And so come to find out, and here's some other photos. I went over there, and the tree had not hit the house, but no one lived in the house. Well, I started doing research and I found the son of the woman that had passed away, Miss Edminster. She had taken out a reverse mortgage on the house, and she passed away. And when she passed away, some family members moved in. June 21st of last year, of 2021, HUD came in and evicted the family from the house. So they left and went elsewhere. So HUD has first right on this house. Correct, Brian? Okay, I'm just making sure I'm saying everything correctly. So I'm not a realtor, I'm not a governmental official, and there's something else but I have a case number from HUD. But they have not assigned an agent to the case, or a listing broker, or a field manager to it. And so I reached out to a realtor who deals with HUD real estate, and he said that what's happened is HUD has fired the company that was initially handling all of this, and now they've gone with a company in Atlanta. And he said there's going to be a flood of foreclosures and all that stuff, because like people who take out reverse mortgages and pass away and don't pay it back, these cases, plus when the government last year before last, forgave mortgages, HUD's now going back to those people and saying, you didn't pay your mortgage for 3 months, we want those 3 months. So this is nationwide. There's going to be a lot of foreclosures. So anyway, I called Brian. They condemned the house in February, and the house is full of stuff. There's things in the house, and I have photos of those too if you need it. But the house is structurally sound. in my opinion. It appraises, and I know you can only go on it, it appraises for $95,000. And it's right at 1,500 square feet, and it's a 62-year-old house. And again, the tree did not hit the house. It looks like it did, but there's one little ding. There's really no interior water damage. But I've talked to Brian, and he's explained to me that if the city goes out and rehabs the house and spends $10,000 to rehab the house, and then HUD comes back, HUD's in line first, and he can explain that better, and the city's in second position. Backing up just a little bit, for 6 years, I've been on the Gadsden Land Bank Authority. And the land bank, we spend money to clear titles and get the taxes gone on $20,000 or $30,000 homes for people to come in and buy and then put back on the tax rolls. I'm here today to ask the city to go on the property, remove the tree, mow the grass. I don't know if they can secure the house because it's not secure, and then I'll mow the yard until this with HUD is resolved. But we work on the land bank. We work so hard. You know, the state finally changed our laws so that the house didn't have to be owned by the state for 5 years and sit there and deteriorate. They've changed it to 3 years. So we're starting to get savable homes in the land bank. This is a very savable home. And yes, it's in my neighborhood, but I just can't stand the thoughts of it just being torn down because HUD doesn't have itself together. And it's just easier to tear down a perfectly good home than to secure it, take the tree out, and hopefully when HUD gets, and I mean, it could be a year, I don't know. But I do know from Ben thought that, I talked to him yesterday before Brian returned my call, and Ben thought that this was just to take the tree, and this is what he's told the neighbors, to take the tree down and clean the yard. He said the house isn't going anywhere. Well, Brian's like, yeah, we're taking the house. So I'm not here to be argumentative. It's just, this is a viable, savable home. And that's all I have, please. Consider
If I'm not
that.
mistaken, I did some research a while back about those reverse mortgages. And if you're in the reverse mortgage and you in a house and like say in their dies, their family has, I think it's 1 year to pay that mortgage off, so I know it'll be sitting there a year at least.
Well, the thing is, I can't even find out how much is owed on the house because I'm not, and the realtor who is a HUD realtor, he handles HUD homes, he can't find out anything on the house. So it all goes back to HUD has fired the company that was doing, and now they've gone with a company in Atlanta, and they expect everything to move faster. I have no guarantee. The city has no guarantee. It's just, this is just me personally saying that I think the house is savable. And yes, it's full of stuff, but it's and it's in my neighborhood, but it's the tree and the grass, and it's not secure. So, thank you for listening.
I think they usually go on a mortgage loan like that, either 60 or 40% of the value of the home, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Can't remember exactly.
and as Brian and I discussed yesterday, just because it says that it's worth $95,000, that's the tax roll. That's what the tax appraises at. It would take an say the city went in and spent $10,000, cleaned it out, and took the tree and did all that stuff. The problem is, does the city get its money back when HUD comes back in, when HUD gets involved? It's kind of a no-win situation for everyone, but we spend so much time at the land bank saving these homes that are half the value of this home, Even if you appraise this house at $60,000, that's still $30,000 more than half the houses that the land bank tries to clear to resell. You see what I'm saying?
do.
And we talk about our housing stock all the time. I don't know the answer. You know, Brian's doing the best he can. It's just HUD's in the way, and the house sits there, and the poor neighbors on either side. And I'm just like, get the tree, get the grass. I will mow it. I will literally go down there and mow it. If, you know, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll see what Mr. Harbison has to say next. Thank you for coming, though.
Mr. President, we filed this case in February, and to be clear, we have a case on the tree, and we have a separate case on the house. Everything about the house meets the criteria for condemnation. That's why we filed it. We've received numerous complaints from other neighbors about the condition of the house. So we had a case on the tree. We're about to bring that case to the council, but with Public Works going out to remove a tree and this case that I stand before you today to present making its way to the process, we pulled the case on the tree and put that on hold until we can get a resolution. Public Works going to have to go out and remove the tree, and with a resolution today, what I'm asking for, at a minimum, that house is going to have to be cleaned out in order for us to do an assessment, whether or not it can be saved or not. That's my business. That's what I've done for 31 years. I'm asking for a resolution to abate the nuisance. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Brian, just real quick, one question. Let's say you do, hypothetically, we're passing this, you go in there, you clean the house out, you do an assessment, you say, yeah, it's worth saving, and we get the tree out of there, everything's cleaned out of the house, it's secured, the city's in it for $7,000, $8,000, whatever. Again, just like in the first situation we discussed today, that bill would go as a lien on the property, and then at whatever point where HUD divests of this property, that lien would have to be satisfied?
That's correct.
Okay.
For the lien to be removed, it would have to be satisfied. Absolutely.
So just, and I'm not trying to, I know you can't commit to this till you're inside the house and having a chance to do an assessment, but your intention would be to get it all cleaned out and get in there and do an assessment, and if there is no structural, you know, if we're within our guidelines for remodeling, we would do that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But we
Okay.
don't own it. We don't own it, so we can't sell it. So
We're good.
So you're basically on the same page as what Lisa was describing. You just don't know what it's gonna be until you can get in there, and in order to get in there, you gotta move the tree, you gotta clean it out.
We can't get on the property to even touch the tree, which again is a separate case without a resolution
Right,
from this
okay.
body.
All right, that sounds good.
My question would be, before we move further on this, the stuff that's inside the house, I heard there was a house full of furniture and everything inside the house. Will we store that property, or will we just throw it away, or what will we do
If
here?
there's anything of value, we will store it, but typically, if it's been abandoned, it's not of value, the house has been unsecured for months, so most likely everything in it will go away.
Okay. I was just curious. I didn't know. Here's pictures we're looking at now of the stuff in there. And we didn't have these a while ago. I'm sorry. We're kind of going through them.
it showed pictures of the inside of stuff that's in it.
I mean, it looks like whoever had moved in there after the original property owner died just walked out on it one day.
Left dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cluttered mess in this house anyway.
I guess that's some sort of garage or outhouse or something.
Yeah, it must be.
It's a lot of work to do, isn't it, to clean it out?
So sorry?
Said that's a lot of work to do to clean
Yeah,
out that
it's,
house. That's a good
There's
day.
some expenses.
Hey, I got one more question, Mr. Harbison. Will we have city workers to go do this, or will we contract this out?
Sorry.
They take all of this stuff out of the house. And once we
Would
pass the
city
resolution.
employees do that, or would you hire a third-party contractor?
It depends, I mean, that's up to Public Works. Mike says they don't want to get involved and we'll have to hire them.
That's a lot.
All right, thank you there. What is the
Either
ple-
way, there's gonna be cost assessed for cleaning out, whether we do it or a private contractor, it's still gonna pay.
Right.
what's the pleasure of the council on this, please?
I move to adopt.
Second.
Clerk, will you please take the vote? We've already had discussions, I
Are
think.
you happy? Lisa, real quick, are you happy with that plan?
And I'm on final saying I will mow the yard.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna make you mow the grass no matter what. I'm just saying, are you happy with this process? We're gonna go in there, we're gonna clean it out, we're gonna take a look at it.
Done secure it.
It'll get secure. If it's eaten up with termites or something though, there's a chance that that thing still gets bulldozed. But if it's in good shape, the plan would be to save it and file a lien against the property. Okay, I'm good.
But this is not gonna be a quick fix, probably. It might be a month or two, before they get everything together and out there.
Well, even if they was tearing the house down, it would be the same thing, because as Brian stated, we still have the tree to deal with. That's still gotta come before the council.
Yeah, that's a separate case.
Yeah. But you can go ahead and cut the grass now, just cut around the tree.
You can't.
Oh, you can't cut any of the
Did
grass?
you not look at the photo?
I did, but I didn't know if I was, sure
It's
there's
a big honking tree.
always excuses, Brian. I know what you deal with. Always excuses. Next is 13, resolution
We
awarding.
didn't
Oh, we
vote.
got to vote. Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Thank y'all for reminding me, or at least I got my thoughts off. Next one's awarding bid number 3478 for the City of Gadsden landscape maintenance. The city engineer has recommended that the bid be awarded to Copeland Scapes Incorporated, and the amount is $165,948. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution, please.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any discussion on this?
Did we receive other bids here?
We just had one bid on this, didn't we? Am I correct? We just had one bid, and we've done business with this company for years, haven't we? And then we sent out everything for bid, nobody, they're the only person to send a bid in.
Yeah.
Heath, we talked about this last week, I guess, in pre-council, but I mean, would you mind giving us another 30,000-foot view just to, so the general public will know what this is going to entail? I hate to put you on the spot, but you probably know what's going on anyway.
Absolutely, no worries. So this is the landscape maintenance bid we have had in place for years. We did expand it this year. Let me open my packet so I don't tell you wrong. But just to give you the high overview, this includes the James D. Martin Wildlife Park at the mall entrance. It includes the same James D. Martin Wildlife Park on the South 11th Street entrance. This includes the venue at Coosa Landing, all the surrounding landscape irrigation that goes along with that. This includes the Buffalo Wild Wings area, the additional parking lot that was installed thereafter. One of the additions this year is Park Boulevard, the new roadway that goes from Buffalo Wild Wings over to the Coosa Landing. It also adds phase one of the sports park, which is right there at the tip point. We'll need certainly maintenance for that. Outside of the athletic fields, this is the landscape area and the parking lots and some of the grasses surrounding that area. And then we also added a detention pond that we do maintain currently behind Walmart. It's got some steep slopes that are a bit troublesome for our own equipment. Contractors can generally move in pretty quick, and you see that's broken down, that's a very low ratio of that cost. So overall cost did go up. Even looking at the existing areas that we had, it increased about $25,000 over previous at the same areas, just because of likely everything else that's increased across our country. And then certainly adding the new areas brought that cost up to where you see it today. but everything did fall in place. Councilman Wilson, I will tell you, we did have a few calls, not many. There were some other companies from outside our area interested in moving in, but they looked at it too late, which was on them, not us.
Sure.
But said, hey, maybe we'll catch you next year. We should have. Same advertisements will occur. So, absolutely. Any other questions?
I'm glad you asked that. Yes, I have one. This has been on my mind. Would it not be cheaper for the city workers to cut all of these that we're talking about in this, and then contract the nuisance and abatement lots out, and the state-owned lots and city lots?
So I don't have all of those numbers. I don't assess that. I don't evaluate it. Once I'm told to get a bid out, I'm following the bid laws to get everything in place, prepare everything for apples to apples bids. Great question. I just don't have your answer. I don't know the rates. I don't know how crews work and how they're allotted, et cetera. It would take a true evaluation of it. Certainly possible. I just don't have it, and certainly don't have it today.
Could we get that, Mr. Mayor? Could we have them to look at that, the price?
Yes, you could if you want to do that. I mean, you know, something like that, the pictures I saw doesn't look like a bad house.
No, not on the house.
Talking about the landscaping.
Landscaping there.
So
Yeah,
it
that's
can't, I will say, if you don't mind me interrupting, this does start August 1st. There are several areas that need to be maintained very quickly. However we want to manage that. This term goes through next year's growing season. Not telling certainly the council what to do, but whether we start this or whether you want to put it off, we do have a window, but certainly can evaluate anything over that time span.
Right.
Additions, deletions.
I should have brought this up before. I was thinking about it, but I should have, because I've been talking about it for years, but anyway.
Yes, sir.
We'll talk again. This contract here was close to what we were paying at two cemeteries to do. And the way gas has gone up and fuel prices have, I don't think we could do this in-house ourselves. I mean,
Well,
we
I
have to
think-
find the employees, and we're having trouble finding employees right now.
Well, I think that's, Councilman Worthy's just saying, right now, we have to mow all these vacant lots, and we have to mow and maintain these other properties. So I think all he's saying is, would it make more sense to contract somebody out to mow all the vacant lots and let our guys handle all of these things, rather than contracting somebody to do all this stuff while our guys mow lots? And you just have to do an evaluation on how many hours you spend mowing vacant lots versus how many hours you spend maintaining this. I mean,
And we're so far behind, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. And because of the employee situation, so that's why I brought it up. But we've been discussing this for years, so it ain't like it's new.
all right.
Call for the vote. Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
The next one's a resolution appointing members to the Building Code Board of Adjustments and Appeals. This reappoints Ben Conley for a term expiring on July the 30th, 2025. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? Kind of cut and dry. Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
That brings us down to new business. Somebody have some new business today?
Yes, Madam, excuse me, Mr. President. This is a request from the CDBG, accepting the offer from the Landmark Venture Incorporated for property located at 500 Grady Street in the amount of $45,000.
Interested for unanimous consent,
Ask for
correct?
unanimous consent, please.
So, second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the ordinance today as an item of new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we have unanimous consent for consideration.
Move for adoption. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Somebody like to expound on this before we adopt it, what all this is all about? Tell us, so
When we
everybody
go
out here
to-
know.
When we get to the discussion, you want me to do it now?
Yeah, just go ahead and do it now, then we'll
Okay.
vote on it later about that.
Is Miss Renee here? Please come up. I think she'll do a better job at it than me.
Because I don't want anybody saying, hey, we're selling property, nobody knows what's going on there.
Yeah, I understand.
And suspend the rules.
That's my, it's my theory, to suspend the rules.
I'm Renee Baker, Community Development Planner for the City of Gadsden. This is a property that HUD funds were used to construct in 2005.
Sure. I'm Renee Baker, the Community Development Planner for the City of Gadsden. This property at 500 Grady Street is a property that was constructed with CDBG funds in 2005. The homeowners several years ago failed to continue making their payments. We have tried to work with them with no response from the homeowners. So at this point, back in prior to September 2021, we foreclosed on the property. And that property was deeded to the city September the 20th, 2021 by the probate office. So we are in control of the property, and they tried to sell it at a foreclosure auction, which is required by law. We had asked for a minimum price of $51,050 for the home, which was about what we had in the outstanding mortgage to the city, and there were no bids received. So the property is sat. We have maintained the property and tried to just keep it in as best condition as we could. We did have it cleaned out and cleaned up and just kind of we secured it for one. So that property has been sitting, and so we are now nearing the 1-year right of redemption for the homeowner. And the homeowner has not come forward to even discuss that. So the Landmark Ventures is a nonprofit that is under the Greater Gadsden Housing Authority. They are interested in the property. They have looked at the property, and they have offered $45,000 for the property. I also spoke with our HUD field office director in Birmingham, and they feel like that this is a good use of that property, as it will remain affordable housing under the Greater Gadsden Housing Authority's Section 8 or Housing Choice Voucher Program. And that money, that $45,000, if this is accepted, the offer is accepted, will go back into the community development program to be reused within the community for low, moderate income people or areas. Do you have any questions?
You did say it needed a bunch of work done on the house inside and
it does
the central heating
require,
air.
yes, sir. It does require some work. There has been, when the homeowners moved out, there's some water damage in the living room floor that's going to have to be replaced. There is a active leak in the roof on part of the home, and that's going to have to be either repaired or the roof replaced. We're not sure at this point. And the HVAC unit is very old and probably will be going out shortly. So that will have to be replaced. So the Landmark Ventures is looking at putting approximately $16,000 in the property, which by the time they paid $45,000 to us and put $16,000 in is about what the property's worth.
All right, thank you, Ms.
You're
Renee.
welcome.
Move for adoption. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nobody else says anything up here about it? If there's no further discussion, clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Who made the second?
We did. We
get
got
a
a
second.
move for adoption.
Second, okay.
Now will you take the vote? I'm sorry.
All right, that's okay. Those in favor to adopt the ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
That brings us down to new business. Ms. Iva, that's you now. I think you said you had some stuff for us today.
Yes, I would like to make an announcement about our election process. As you know, the city's election will take place on August 23rd, and wanted to let the public know that the absentee ballots have arrived. So we have those in the clerk's office and available for absentee voting is underway. If you want to receive a ballot and want to have an application, you can call the city clerk's office. Our number is 256-549-4517, or you can come to our office on the 4th floor of City Hall. The hours are from 8 o'clock in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon. someone who's going to be out of town or qualifies for some of these other reasons that you can vote absentee can come to our office, fill out their application, and complete their ballot all in the same trip. For people who it's difficult to get out and come, we can mail the application, or they can download the application. It is available on the city's website. The city's web address is www.cityofgadsden.com, and you go to City Services and you select City Clerk, and then there's a little banner that appears for election information, and we have a link to the absentee ballot application. I'll just go over the reasons that someone would qualify to vote absentee. State law sets those out, and there are 9. One is if the voter is going to be out of town or, unavailable due to being in another location on election day. If they have a physical illness or infirmity that would prevent their attendance at the polls, or if they have a physical illness or infirmity preventing their attendance that is neurological, musculoskeletal, respiratory, cardiovascular, or other life-altering disorder. This one selection, if they qualify for that, they do not have to provide ID. For all of the other reasons that I'm mentioning, the ID of the voter is required with the application. Some of the other reasons: works at least a 10-hour shift with hours that coincide with the polling hours, or a student enrolled in an educational institution outside the county of their personal residence, members of U.S. Armed Forces, and that includes their spouses and dependents. This one doesn't really apply to us. Appointed as poll watcher or election official at location other than their regular polling place. I imagine they could be a poll watcher, but all of the city's polling officials do have to live in the district in which they're working. These are new ones. A caregiver for a family member to the second degree of kinship that's confined to their home, that caregiver can qualify to vote absentee. And then the last one is a qualified voter that's detained in a detention facility can apply for absentee ballot. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any more department reports, committee boards, or et cetera? Since we don't have anything else, that brings us down to remarks by the mayor and council. Mayor Gadsden can be first today.
I don't have anything.
Okay, Councilman Worthy?
Yes, I want to make an announcement. Our annual job fair will take place on August the 10th, 2022, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the venue at Coosa Landing. It's put on by the Career Center, Alabama Work, City of Gadsden, several others. So please, jobs out there. I've always said this: it may not be the job you want to take, but take it till you can get better qualified and get better educated, and then you can get a better job. And then one thing I want to talk about is I've always tried to educate the public on our process up here at City Hall, and you can talk to some people till you're blue in the face, and for whatever reason, they may have an ulterior motive, and they just don't want to be educated. And what I'm speaking of is the way we do our resolutions. We send the resolution. Well, it starts in the attorney's office. He does the resolutions, or his clerk does the resolutions in Lee's office there. And then they send it to the department heads and then to the mayor's office to be signed off on, and then it comes to us. So that's the way that's the process. And some people just don't understand the process or don't want to understand the process. So only thing I can do is continue talking and telling people the process that we do. And then after the election, the first meeting that the council have, that's where we set up the rules of the council. You know, you may not like the rules, but that's for the 7 people that's elected. And then we follow that. Most of the time, we follow it. But we follow that. So, and I'm talking about one particular person, a radio personality, that's just been on the radio, just dogging us, and you try to be nice and you try to explain stuff, but once you explain it to them and you tell them the process, then they still continue doing what they're doing. Then it's time for you to step up and say something. So I will be on that particular radio station Friday, and we will discuss this at 12 o'clock if you want to listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Back.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have anything today.
All right, I guess that's probably everybody here today, isn't it? Oh, wait a minute, Councilman Wilson, I forgot about you, man. Being so quiet over there.
Just a couple of quick points of clarification. This landscaping bid that we talked about for a minute, that covers, so this was awarded to Copelandscapes. It was $165,000. This includes both entrances to the wildlife park. They'll maintain that, cut the grass, do the weed control, put the pre-emergence out, post-emergent spot treatments for weeds and whatnot. So that would be the entrance to the wildlife park from the backside of the mall parking lot, and also the entrance from South 11th Street if you come in from that way. It also includes all the landscaping at the venue, and all that area down around Buffalo Wild Wings and the riverfront there. The Coosa Landing area where the boat launch is over there behind Dollar General. It'll include the first phase of the sports park, but not the fields themselves, just the lake area and the parking lots and the islands with turf in there and everything, all the little exterior landscaping spaces, but not the actual fields themselves. And then the 7th Avenue detention pond area too, would be grass cutting on that. So just wanted to make that clear. Let's see, what else? We reappointed some members to the Building Code Board of Adjustments and Appeals. Pretty simple. If you've got an issue with the building code and you don't think it's fair, or you think there's some way that you should be exempt from that, this is the board that you go before to ask for an appeal or a variance, or if you don't like the decision they made. So we reappointed a member to that. The way that board's set up, there's got to be an architect and a contractor on that board, and then I think 4 or 5 just citizens that serve on that board. In this case, we do have, I see at least one person who's also a plumber. So we have an architect, a plumber, and a contractor that sit on that board just to hear appeals to the building code. This HUD housing, like Ms. Baker talked about, pretty simple. Several years ago, I think it was 04, 05 is what she said, we took some federal CDBG money, I think, or HUD money, and built a few homes. One of those homes, the owner who purchased the home from the city defaulted on the loan, and so we foreclosed on the property after they kind of disappeared on us. And now we have a company that's come in and offered to buy that house from us for basically what we still have in it, and they will continue to offer that as an affordable housing option. So they'll continue to accept vouchers for rent if you're a part of the HUD program. And I think that's all I got. Thank you, Councilman.
All right, thank you. This landscaping, what we did today with Copelandscapes, it's been going on for a while. It's nothing new, just added some new stuff to them this time, and it's a little bit more. And my thoughts are probably whoever sets up here the next term will have to face some decisions whether they want to contract some more stuff out or not, because, usually you can, most of the time you can contract stuff out now cheaper than you can do it in-house with our gas and equipment, and you figure out trying to get the people to work, and you pay the insurance and you pay the retirement, and that adds up a bunch. So I'm pretty sure we're saved money on this year. We've been doing it for years. So that's my thought for today, and I do appreciate being able to chair this meeting today. And if there's no further questions.
I have one more. Since he mentioned about the CDBG money for new houses, I don't think we can do that with CDBG monies with the new home. Would you please take a minute and explain that, Ms. Renee? Because I don't want people to be misinformed.
That is a good point, Councilman Worthy. CDBG funds cannot be used for new construction. I said construction earlier because we did construct this property, but it was considered reconstruction. And the way that works is if there was a house formerly on that property, you can reconstruct a new home on that same footprint. That's the only way that CDBG funds could be used for any type of new construction in that respect. So,
Well, while you're up there, talk about the consortium where we could build affordable housing if we had that.
okay, the only way you can use HUD funds as a city to build affordable housing and do new construction is through the home program. And the city of Gadsden is not an entitlement city. We are not entitled to home funds. So therefore, in order for the city of Gadsden to receive home funds, we would have to form a consortia with a contiguous city or county. So our borders would have to touch another city or county to form a consortia. And then each party of that consortia would get a certain percentage of homes built within their community during a year period or 2 year period, because home funds are I think it's a 2 year period with them. So whatever the allocation is for the 2 year period, then each one gets a certain amount. So what you have to do for that is also match that funding. So a lot of cities that are smaller or counties can't match those funds.
Right. And so you have experience with this because you did it in Anniston, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any further questions?
Anybody else have any questions for her?
Thank you.
Okay.
Just one last thing, Theater of Gadsden over the next couple of weeks is putting on Big River, which is, for lack of a better term, a recreation of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn. They've got showings on July the 15th, 16th, 22nd, 23rd at 7 a.m. And on July the 23rd and the 24th at 2 a.m. So for people who say there's not anything to do with their kids out there, if you're not at the Gadsden Museum of Art, if you're not at the Cultural Arts Center, if you're not at Imagination Place, if you're not playing on the splash pad, if you're not at Moraine Park, if you're not hanging out at Nakalula Falls Park, then maybe you could take your kids to see a great play. Support the Theater of Gadsden. That's all I have.
Anybody else before we leave? I ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
We adjourn.